Hey, my name is Mike. I've been working in Korea for the past, God help me, 15 years. I've been working in the webtoon industry area and adjacent markets for the past 10 years or so. And I talk a lot about webtoons and publishing and what it's like to work in Korea. So it's official. NHN is shutting down COMICO Japan, which means the last platform that NHN Japan was operating in the international webtoon market is about to shut down. In early June 2025, we started hearing rumors that Pocket Comics France was about to shut down. And then later that month, we learned the full extent, which was not only would Pocket Comics France shut down, but so did Pocket Comics US and COMICO Korea. That literally meant that NHN was only going to be operating one webtoon platform in one country, that would be COMICO Japan. And that was true up until today, August 18th, when we just got the announcement that COMICO Japan will be shutting down as well. Now, in a lot of ways, this has been a long time coming. I mean, the fact that NHN was pulling back webtoon operations from every country except for Japan was a bit of a surprise when it happened. The fact that they shut down the French operations wasn't much of a surprise because everyone kind of knew that the French webtoon market wasn't doing well. I mean, Picoma Europe pulled out. Right now, I believe a bunch of French platforms have shut down as well, including Verytoon. Webtoon Factory was reborn as Ono Webtoons, essentially. But right now, for the past year or so, COMICO has kind of limped along in the Japanese market. According to reports, it's actually been doing well. They've turned around a deficit. They're actually making a profit right now. But the decision was still made to shut down the COMICO Japan platform. And one can only imagine that's because realistically, the company's probably doing well with the content, it's probably doing well distribution-wise. The platform itself is only a hindrance now. Now, that might sound weird to have good content and a weak platform. It happens all the time. It happens especially if the platform is not very popular and doesn't have more than just first-party content. Like, you do need high-level third-party content. You have to remember that in the Japanese space, webtoons are competing with manga, and you have to assume that at a certain point, NHN was starting to realize that they just can't compete in the digital content space with the existing webtoon publishers like Line Manga, which are huge, like Kakao Picoma, which is also huge, and like other Japanese platforms like Mecha Comics. I would say in the middle of last year when they announced that they would be closing their Korean operations, I did have meetings with some people who were talking to COMICO at the time, who were talking to NHN. And one of the things I was hearing was they were reducing the team size drastically for in-country operations. They went from having a team that ran the platform, a team that did sales, a team that did marketing, and they shut down all the teams. They kept two people, one person to lead content distribution, which is licensing in-country and internationally, and one person to help them. The cost difference between running a platform and running a studio/publisher, miles of difference between them. What does this mean for NHN? Well, NHN will still continue to be what we call in Korea, and I've been told that this is a weird thing to call a company, but it is what we call in Korea, a CP, which is a content provider, which is essentially a studio or a publisher. They will license, create, have exclusive rights to a webtoon, manga, or title, and they will then license that either exclusively or non-exclusively to other publishers or other platforms to distribute online or in physical form or what have you. To be completely honest, COMICO shuttering doesn't change the international landscape very much. It is going to suck a lot for people who use COMICO a lot in Japan, because all of a sudden the platform that you used to use doesn't exist after a few more months. In Japan, there are other bigger webtoon platforms, and there are definitely other bigger digital content platforms that also carry webtoons in addition to mangas and comic books and other things as well. So does this change the landscape in Japan? Not really. Does this change the landscape internationally? Not really. This is another step in a long-running line of COMICO pulling their platforms from other countries. I mean, it is a bit of a surprise to see COMICO pull their platform from their home country, but is it going to change much? Does it really make waves? No, not yet. But it does say something about Japan. I want to rewind a little bit because right now it is August 18th. And the news has just hit about COMICO Japan. But before this, we've actually gotten some other news articles that have broken about Japan and about the webtoon space in Japan specifically. And those give this a lot of context. One of the bigger news items that came out earlier this month was that Line Manga announced a partnership with NTT Docomo. And they'll be adding an anime subscription to Line Manga, which is the Naver webtoon equivalent app in Japan, which means now you're going to be able to watch anime while, browsing through webtoons. The big thing to remember though is that this anime tab will have established current anime. It's not going to be making new animes. It'll be bringing over anime titles from NTT Docomo and putting them on the Line Manga platform. That's number one. And number two, back in August 1st, we learned that Legend Comics is actually going to be closing Legend Comics Japan, which is next to Legend Comics Korea, the longest running platform owned and operated by Legend Comics. That sounds slightly worse than it is because right now they actually operate two Japanese platforms. They opened up a new platform called webtoon that really just focuses on BL titles. But they'll be keeping that platform up and running, and they'll actually be migrating over user accounts, purchases, and coins over to webtoon from Legend Comics Japan. That's number 2. And number 3, we got to look at Webtoon Entertainment's Q2 financials, and specifically Japan. Now, for a long time, because the webtoon industry was trying to expand internationally, Japan was seen as the first step no matter what. Japan already has an audience that likes comics a la manga. They didn't have as much of a digital system in place so that the webtoon industry could come in and really make a big bang. And while people were used to the weekly publishing system, they were also used to, more importantly, paying by episode, which meant that once webtoon titles got into Japan and platforms made it into Japan, they found an audience that was okay with everything that they needed to make money. So what's gone wrong with Japan? For Q2 of 2026, Webtoon Entertainment saw 150.403 million USD in revenue, but that's literally a 15.5% decrease compared to last year. It's nearly 10% more revenue than you saw in Korea, which was 138.49 million USD in the same period. But that was after Korea had seen a 10.1% increase year on year. So while the Korean market is going up, Japan's market is going down. Two other numbers that have also slipped in Q2 of 2026 are the MAU, which is the monthly active user count. That's the number of users who logged in, actually viewed a webtoon. That went from 22.6 million last year to 21.8 million this year in Q2. The monthly paid user rate are users who log in and actually spend money. Okay, that went from 2.3 million last year to 2.1 million this year in Q2. That's an 8.7% drop. So not only are the number of people logging in and reading a webtoon going down, the number of people who are logging in, reading a webtoon, and actually making a purchase are also going down, which leads to the entire revenue also going down. Not a good thing. So rounding this all out, what do we have? Number 1, we have the news that Webtoon is starting to diversify their content in Japan, online manga. Number 2, we have news that this is now the second Japanese platform to shutter. Now, Legend Comics shuttering one of their platforms at 2 and then combining their platform content libraries to create one bigger platform. Not as big of a news, but the idea that their non-BL platform can no longer stand alone, that's definitely some news. And then number 3, being that Webtoon's numbers for Japan have dropped heavily, 15.5%. That's not a small number. Now, what does this mean? Does it mean that the Japanese market isn't interested in webtoons? No, it doesn't mean that, because the Japanese market is still making more money than the Korean market when it comes to webtoons. Now, I don't think that Naver is going to shut down line manga and pull out of Japan. That's definitely not going to happen. They're still making a lot of money. They're still doing good business there. I do think that they're going to reevaluate their strategies and try something different moving forward, which is what they're doing with the anime tab, because realistically, that's not their first move. That was Kakao's first move. Kakao created an anime tab, and they actively started adapting Japanese webtoons and Korean webtoons into animes for the anime tab, which we've started seeing specific to that market. So we don't get those animes in the US, we don't get them in Korea, but we definitely have animes based on webtoons on the Piccoma app in Japan that have started to pay dividends, at least for some of the creators I've talked to. Now, the biggest takeaway from COMICO Japan shutting down is that I think we can safely say that the era of webtoon platform expansion is mostly coming to a close. We've seen Piccoma Europe shut down. We've seen Pocket Comics shut down, Verytoon, Webtoon Factory. We've seen multiple starts and stops when it comes to Spanish platforms. Tapas has tried multiple times to add Spanish to their main platform, and they've kind of just given up every single time. We've seen a bunch of platforms in Korea shut down. We saw Peanut Tune close last year. We've been seeing this coming. We've been seeing that the webtoon industry is stretched a little bit too thin. There were multiple international markets that were not mature enough to support paid webtoon platforms, and definitely not paid webtoon platforms in that quantity. We're also starting to see that maybe the French platform, as much as it's shrunk right now, might have some more shrinking coming ahead, because there's definitely news going on that front that, people aren't quite allowed to talk about yet, but there are definitely platforms that are starting to shrink content libraries in France as well. So what does that mean? It means that the era of international expansion is over. Now they have to find other ways to expand and grow their business besides just translating to a new language. That means that reducing translation costs is no longer going to be the goal. Not that translation costs can be any cheaper. It means that, and I really, really hate saying this, I think we're going to start seeing more short form content. I think we're seeing more short form animated adaptations. I think we're seeing more live action adaptations. I think we're going to see more cheap content coming our way. And I don't necessarily think it's a good thing, not specifically because I don't enjoy them, because to be completely honest, I don't really enjoy short form content, at least not serialized as short form content. Now, I'm saying this knowing specifically that Webtoon Entertainment has just launched 6 new short form titles on their own American or, non-Korean, non-Asian platform. I haven't seen them yet. I'm gonna go take a look at them. I'm gonna see what they're like. Pivoting to short form content specifically and adding that onto their platform, in addition to the cuts, in addition to the animated shorts, in addition to webtoon content, in addition to originals content, in addition to canvas content. It's too many things on one platform. It is a little bit concerning. I did read in the initial press release that, oh, hey, Webtoon Entertainment is going to start adding live action short form content. They call them microdramas. I'm never calling them microdramas, but live action short form content to the Webtoon app. And I thought 4 different genres and categories of content on one app. The biggest digital comics publisher on the planet adding more content to a platform that already likely has the most content out of any platform in the world is a bit, it's like a hat on top of a hat, you know? I do think that Webtoon doing these different things, I think Kirari trying these different things, I think all of these Webtoon publishers trying to branch out into different kinds of media, different kinds of businesses, I think we're all starting to see the effects of the realization that they can no longer branch out to different locales and different languages. Like, that phase is over. It worked. It didn't work. We'll have to wait for them to try it again. But definitely for the time being, we're still seeing the after effects of what happens when you expand too quickly and don't have a stable audience base that can support all these platforms, all these publishers. Yeah. Saw a lot of that up close and personal too. Well, I hope you guys liked this video. NHN, COMICO, Pocket Comics, I've been following them for a long time. So I've always been interested in what they're doing. And I was really, really sad to see them pull out of the European markets. I was sad to see them close their US platform because I thought it had a lot of promise. I thought that there was a lot of chance they could do better, and them heading straight into the content publishing game rather than the platforming game, at least at this point, because their content still looks good, makes a lot of sense. I hope you guys have liked this video. If you did, please follow me on Substack, subscribe here, like the video, leave a comment, ask me whatever questions you guys are interested in. I do have a lot of other ideas for videos that I do want to do. I do want to do more long form content like this, where I kind of break down what's going on in the webtoon industry, what's going on in the webtoon market. I also do a lot of typesetting in the webtoon market because I still work as like a translator slash typesetter slash editor slash all these other things as well. So I do want to make some kind of guides on what creators can do to make their webtoons look a little bit more professional and more acceptable to, publishers and whatnot, and kind of what publishers are looking for when we look at webtoons. So I am going to make more videos like that. I hope you guys keep on watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.